Well, a warm welcome to this talk. It's Tuesday, the 17th of September. Now, I want to pay some attention to MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. And I'm not picking on the United States because the problems we have in the UK and Canada and Australia are almost as bad in many respects. And I want to look at a speech from Robert Kennedy Jr. And we might look at some of that speech later or maybe in a separate video. But let's really consider some of the things he's saying and fundamentally ask the question, is it feasible? He's talking about massively improving the health of the United States in 2 to 4 years if he's able to implement his policy. Is this just usual political claptrap, or is there some scientific credibility to what he's saying? Now, if you haven't got time to watch all of this video where I'm going to give rationale, for sure there is one heck of a lot of scientific credibility to what he is saying. It makes a lot of sense to me in terms of my understanding of health and the way that the body works and the nutrition that the body gets and doesn't get. But let's look at some of the detail of what he's saying here. So, make America healthy again. It's a great expression, and then plus the UK would be nice as well. In fact, including the rest of the world. Now, Robert F. Kennedy suspended his independent presidential bid. This is the context of this speech. If I'm given the chance to fix the chronic disease crisis, so we notice there is a chronic disease crisis, and of course we agree completely. In the United States and here there's a terrible, appalling chronic disease crisis, and we'll be looking at some of the specifics in a minute. I promise that within 2 years we will watch the chronic disease burden lift dramatically. So within 2 years, is this feasible? Yes, I think it is, because so much of the chronic disease we're suffering from is due to immediate lifestyle factors. Now, it's not going to go away because the bad lifestyle factors have been there for decades. We can't just magic it away. But is there possibility of a massive improvement in a relatively short period of time? Yes, there is. And of course, this gives hope to every individual as well. You might be have some health problem yourself. You may know people and friends with health problems. And can you look at your lifestyle? Can you look at your friend's lifestyle and think about how this could be altered in the hope and the belief that there can be massive improvement within a relatively short period of time? And for many conditions, that is true. Not always, of course, by no means always, but very often there's a lot we can do to help ourselves in relatively short time frames. We just need to work out what those things are. So within 2 years, I think that it's feasible. I think that makes perfect sense. Lift dramatically, and I think that's obviously these are carefully chosen words that Mr. Kennedy's not just thrown around random words here. He's clearly thought about this, and I think I agree. The burden could lift dramatically within 2 years potentially. We will make America healthy again. Now, again, here is important because, again, in the speech, he gives a lot of rationale looking at how America has been much healthier in the past, how obesity and diabetes used to be virtually unheard of in the United States. Now it's just everywhere, it's ubiquitous. And we'll be looking at some of the figures he gives later on or in the next video. We'll see how we go for time. The evidence is given in that speech, well worth watching. That within 4 years, America will be a healthy country. Within 4 years, he was able to implement his policies. Now, doesn't mean say everyone will be healthy, but health will be improved. Is there some overstatement there? You could argue there is, but within 4 years, America will be a healthy country. What he certainly could do in 4 years is make the overall public health in America, the health of individuals in America, comparable with other countries, with other first world countries, because at the moment the United States is way worse health than many other first world countries. Although, as I say, the UK is not far behind. So in that sense, yes, it's completely credible. I think it would be good if he's able to implement his policies. We will be stronger, yep. More resilient, that's for sure. They weren't very resilient in the pandemic. More optimistic. Yeah, these things do affect overall mood and well-being and happier, I agree. He says he won't fail in doing this, and I think the chance would be good. The vast burden of chronic disease that now demoralizes. Yeah, it is demoralizing. If you're not well, it's just demoralizing. Chronic disease, of course, causes depression. Of course it does. Of course it does. And of course, the economic influences, bankrupts, the country will disappear. Disappear is a strong word. I would say massively reduces. I ask myself, what choices must I make to maximise my chances to save America's children and restore national health? So to save America's children is a laudable ambition, and restore national health, of course, again, exactly what we should be working on, I would have thought. I feel that if I refuse this opportunity, I would not be able to look myself in the mirror. And if you work in healthcare, there are things that bother you, that's for sure. Knowing that I could have saved the lives of countless children and reversed the country's chronic disease epidemic. And again, we see that children are suffering and there is a chronic disease epidemic. President Trump's told me that he wants this to be his legacy, political point, but fair enough. Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country and our children if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other. It's rhetorical, but it's completely true. If we unite around that issue now, we can finally give them the protection. Children should be protected by adults, not the other way around. Health and the future that they deserve. Now, let's look at some of the sort of scientific thinking behind this, the way I would see it. Why I agree with most of what he's saying. But certainly the overall tenor of what he's saying here. Over and undernutrition leading to. So what we mean here is malnutrition is eating too much of some dietary components like sugar, processed oils, processed food, and undernutrition is lack of eating healthy foods, fibre, and all the nutrients and micronutrients that we need. So America and the United Kingdom are massively malnourished, not these wretched pictures you can see of starving children sometimes in the media. We see sometimes. Hopefully we don't see that in richer Western countries, although of course there is real deprivation. But we see a lot of problems that are related to overnutrition, just simply eating too much of some dietary components. And that is fixable. It's completely fixable. Right, diabetes, huge. Obesity, never used to be a problem, now it's massive. High blood pressure. And again, there's quite a few things we could say about that, diet and exercise and obvious other factors. Arterial disease, leading to heart disease, brain disease, so strokes, transient ischemic attacks, and the chronic disability that this causes. People with strokes can be paralysed on one side of the body, live for another 10, 20 years. Their quality of life is massively reduced. They can't, most times they can't work, they depend on others. The economic and social costs of this are huge, as well as the personal suffering and family suffering costs. Why on earth wouldn't you want to reduce this? Fatty liver disease, again, never used to see that. Now it's all over the place, where fat accumulates in the liver cells. Cancers, so many cancers now. Dental health from sugars, dental caries, and especially at the moment in the UK where it's quite hard for a lot of people to get to a dentist. My NHS dentist packed in and I couldn't get another one. Fortunately, I can afford to pay privately, but people really, really struggle with this. There is just, where I live, there's just no NHS dentistry available. If you haven't had one, if your NHS dentist retires or something, you simply can't get another one. Huge, huge problem. Dental health, and of course all the other systemic disease that goes with that. Joint problems, osteoarthritis, breathing problems, difficulty breathing overnight, for example, relationship problems, work problems. And then dementia is related to lifestyle, mental health issues related to lifestyle, anxiety and depression are just everywhere. These are such common problems. So, epidemic, pandemic of preventable chronic disease, yeah, that's what we have. A lot of these diseases are completely preventable, largely reversible, not entirely, but largely reversible through lifestyle factors. Now, just I hesitate to do this next bit, but I just sort of brainstormed a few simple practical measures that would massively improve the health of the population. We'll give Mr. Kennedy more chance later to spell out in detail. But for now, let's just brainstorm a few. Massively reduce ultra-processed food consumption. So high temperature processed seed oils, we could do without those entirely. High fructose corn syrup, just get the sugar down. What are we eating all this stuff for? All this is put into ultra-processed. These things, high temperature processed seed oils and high fructose corn syrup and other sugars, probably just about every ultra-processed food you can imagine. And they're toxic, basically. Eat food. So proper food, food that looks like food. Food that our hunter-gatherer ancestors would have recognised as food. Not industrial products that mimic food. Regulate addictive components out of food. So some food manufacturers put things in foods that are deliberately addictive to make you go back to buy their products. I mean, this is a good business model. You might get people hanging around school gates selling addictive substances. Good for repeat business. Not saying that the food industries are breaking the law, of course. Regulates. So we need to regulate addictive components. But why on earth would you want? Why? I can see why people would want it, but why do we tolerate? Why is this tolerated? Why would we tolerate addictive foods? Change attitudes to food to encourage food preparation at the level of the home and community. Food should be a communal activity in the family and in the larger community. We have church lunches every Monday, for example, where people can go along for a meal, and as well as the food, it's the social interactive aspect of that as well. And we can produce proper food at relatively low prices using seasonal products. We need more food preparation and nutritional training. We should be teaching children this. I remember when I got my allotment, it's a while ago now, but I wasn't sure what parts of a plant you could eat. And this was as an intelligent adult who had a degree in biology. I was asking the other old guys what bit of the plant you eat sometimes. And it's ridiculous. We should be teaching this sort of stuff in school. Food preparation, nutrition. Encourage local food cultivation. Not for everyone, but many of us could do more. Prevent contamination of food with insecticides, herbicides, indeed any other sides, things that kill things, because in particular doses they will also be cidal to us. So insecticides have got the potential to be homicidal. Herbicides have got the potential to be homicidal in large amounts. Develop organic soils, restore soil fertility across a range of nutrients. A lot of the soils that we grow our food on are just exhausted of trace elements because you just keep piling on more artificial fertilizers. In fact, one of the things that really frightens me, a potential dystopian future, is agriculture and food being controlled by a few powerful corporations or a few powerful individuals. Because if they control the food supply, make no mistake, they control us. And I find that a bit frightening, to be quite honest. The potential dystopian future of food control. Let's hope that never happens. But these risks are there. So organic soils. A lot of people don't know, but there's more carbon in soil, even our depleted soils, in the soil than there is in all the organisms, all the wood, all the plants, all the animals, all the people on the surface of the earth. The soil is this massive carbon sink. So develop organic soils, restore soil fertility across a range of nutrients, reduce reliance on artificial fertilizers. Now, I'm not going to go too much into ecology here, but it all ties together, because what is good for you as an individual and good for me as an individual is usually good for the planet as well. So let's just give one brief example here, quite interesting. So putting on lots of nitrogen fertilizers. Nitrogen fertilizers drive nitrous and nitric oxide production. So nitric oxide is NO. So nitrous oxide, for example, NTO, you maybe know that as laughing gas. But the point is, when you put on too many nitrate fertilizers, and all these fertilizers are based on nitrates primarily, on the soil, interacts with water, and you get production of nitrous oxide, N2O, and it goes into the atmosphere. And that's a problem because it stays around in the atmosphere for an average of 114 years. And it's 300 times more powerful greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. All the focus is on carbon, but there's all these other things, methane and nitrous oxide and other things that are immensely powerful greenhouse gases that people never talk about. Maybe because people can make money out of those. Who knows? So increasing natural soil, reducing these over-reliance on nitrogen fertilizers, allowing all the other nutrients to get back into the soil, and avoid the average of 114 years in the atmosphere of nitrous oxide that's 300 times more powerful greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. Of course, we need to encourage physical fitness, especially in children. Optimize micronutrient levels. So a lot of people are low on zinc, again, because the soils are depleted. Selenium, for example. Magnesium, I mentioned there for sure. A lot of people are short of zinc and short of magnesium. Vitamin D, of course, as we know only too well on this channel. We need to reduce iatrogenesis, the degree to which medical treatments are hurting people. So iatros is Greek for doctor. Iatrogenesis is things that begin with the doctor. So if the doctor gives you, I don't know, say an injection against a viral infection or something, and that causes adverse reactions, then that would be iatrogenesis. Or if the doctor gives you some pill and it causes an adverse effect, that would be iatrogenesis. Or if you go into hospital and get a blood clot, that would be iatrogenesis. So we need to reduce iatrogenesis. All our interventions need to be evidence-based. And many interventions have developed over a long period of time, and their evidence base is basically, in many cases, non-existent. You know, we do things because that's the way we've always done it. How dare you question the tradition? We need to get back to what the evidence is saying. The precautionary principle, first do no harm. Consider if you have the audacity to intervene and give a rationale if you do. Promote efficacious interventions even if they do not make money. We want what works, not what's profitable. Research all aspects of health interventions, not only trials for patentable products. So we need things on flaxseed, reducing blood pressure, comfrey, helping soft tissue injuries to heal. Other repurposed drugs that I won't mention at this stage that might be massively effective in other conditions, but are not promoted or indeed actively suppressed because they're out of patent, in favour of drugs which are in patent, which money can be made from. So research into everything useful, not just things that can be patented. Consider and trial out repurposed drugs. And then here's a new idea. Government should be made up of the people, and it should be by the people, and it should be for the people. So government should be for. Now that is for. Government should be for the people. For the people. And of course, for that we thank the great Abraham Lincoln in his Gettysburg Address. Now I think I'll show you some of this clips in the next video. We'll leave that there for now. That's just a bit of an introduction, really. I will put the link to the video in, of course. Try and watch the whole thing. But we will look at some of the pertinent clips shortly. So for now, thank you for watching.